September 23rd, 1857. A 48-year-old man climbs the creaking stairs to a third-floor room in an old church in lower Manhattan. For 3 months, he had printed handbills and walked into every shop and boarding house in the district, inviting working men to come and pray for an hour. He set out the chairs, he sat down, and he waited. 12:05, 12:10, 12:20, and the room was still empty. So Jeremiah Lanphier bowed his head and began to pray by himself. For 30 minutes, he prayed into the silence of an empty room. Welcome to Lift Up Your Day, a daily 5-minute devotional, short stories with a biblical heartbeat. I'm Rodney, and today, one discouraged man, one empty room, and the half hour that helped change a nation. Jeremiah Lanphier was not a preacher. He was a businessman whose business had failed, hired by the North Dutch Reformed Church to be a missionary to the immigrants and laborers in a hard part of New York City. America in 1857 was a very discouraged place. Banks were shaky and the newspapers were full of talk of war over slavery. The churches downtown were empty and out. Lanphier tried everything he knew to reach people and nothing seemed to work. So he settled on the one thing he had left: prayer. He announced a noon prayer meeting. Come for 5 minutes or the whole hour, the handbill said, as your time allows. On the first Wednesday, he climbed the stairs and found the empty room. He could have locked the door and called the whole thing foolish. Instead, he knelt and prayed all by himself. Then at 12:30, he heard footsteps. One man came in and knelt down beside him. Before the hour was over, 4 more had joined them, 6 men in an upstairs room. It would have looked like nothing at all. The next Wednesday, 20 came. The next after that, 40. They decided to meet every single day. Then in October, the banks crashed. The panic of 1857 swept the country, and frightened men who had trusted in money went looking for God. The little prayer meeting could not hold them. A second room had to be opened, and then a third. Soon a theater that seated 3,000 was packed at noon, and 10,000 men were praying daily all across the city. And it did not stay in New York. The fire ran up and down the country, in town after town. Shops closed at midday so workers could pray. Reports came back of whole communities swept in, of places where almost no one was left who had not turned to Christ. In 18 months, by the best estimates, close to 1 million Americans came to faith in Christ. From one man in an empty room, a man who waited 30 minutes before he might have given up. Here's what I want you to hear today. Heaven was not waiting on a crowd. Heaven was waiting on a man who would show up and pray when nobody clapped, nobody noticed, and nothing seemed to be happening. The prophet Zechariah asks a question for every discouraged servant of God. For who has despised the day of small things? Do not despise your small beginning, the empty room, the class of 3, the prayer that nobody hears but God. You cannot see what the Lord is about to do with your faithful half hour. Jeremiah Lanphier could not see it either. So do not quit at 12:29. The first man may be walking up the stairs right now. And that, friend, is how God lifts up your day.